Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CMM, Chronicles of Melanated Minds. As you can see, BBM, Better in Black Minds, presents Chronicles of Melanated Minds. And we are on our second episode. Today's title is It Takes a Village. So follow us while we take you through what we mean. I am your host, Preston Duffield. I am the podcast director. I'm also a graduating senior exercise science major.
Hi everyone, I'm Jaden Daniels. I'm like a junior, senior, y'all know how that go. My major is psychology, and what I want to do with that is basically focus on the mental health of people of color. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Olivia Okafor. I'm a junior public health major and I plan to work in the psych field with that as well. I really want to bring mental health or help for mental health towards like areas where it's not really seen, like my home country in Nigeria. So that's what I'm looking to do with that.
First question of the day of the podcast is how can you support others who are struggling when you yourself are struggling? Um, if you ever want to submit questions or topics for the podcast, we always have a little container that you can submit those questions and topics at all of our events. Speaking of our events, before I forget, we do have an event coming up this Thursday, September 12th. CLA 5303. As always, it'll always be in there unless said otherwise. We are collaborating with the Counseling Center and we're doing an event called Healing Horizons. The idea is just we're going to rotate through different activities, both fun and interactive. Obviously, they're more mental health oriented, and each activity provides a different way to cope in different aspects of mental health, whether it be depression, anxiety, social anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. So come out. That's all I'm gonna say. Come join us to find out some more. Saying the question of the day: how can you support others who are struggling when you yourself are struggling? I've been talking a lot, so I am going to pass it to one of them to start off first. You are going to hear me, but I want them to start off first.
So me personally, when I am going through like a rough patch or like not struggling per se, but just like stressed with school and I still find myself helping others, I would just say have that time for yourself. Like always cut out time for you because like you have to look out for yourself at the end of the day. And honestly, if you're not good, then the way that you're helping people isn't going to be good either. So I would just always say, always do those check-ins with yourself and make sure you're in your best like mental capacity, really.
Me personally, how I support people when I'm struggling is that like within my group of friends, I like to always keep community. Like we always say community. So like we'll invite each other over to do things together. Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling so like sad to the point where I can't even eat. Okay, come over and I'll cook for you, that type of thing. Oh, I'm feeling really lonely and tired of like no one wants to be around me. No, come through. Like let's watch a movie together, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Always keeping myself surrounded and making sure nobody feels like they're alone is how I do it. Cause I know that even when I'm sad, maybe I just need a friend. Maybe I just need somebody to be in the room with me while I get my work done. Maybe that's what I needed or the motivation. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
I support.
No, definitely. I was definitely about to say something along those lines. And I can only speak for myself. I definitely went through like a tough period, even still kind of getting out of that tough period. Um, and something that kind of sat with me, you know how people say like misery loves company and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and they always have like a negative connotation with it. Like if someone's miserable, they're gonna do whatever they can to make you miserable too.
Yeah.
Um, Weird, but try this kind of view on it. If you are sad, right, or you are feeling a certain way, there's probably someone around you that's kind of feeling the same way. Nine, like, I don't want to say 9 times out of 10 because I don't know everybody's situation, but there's a chance that someone around you is feeling the same way. And when I say misery loves company, I mean in a way of like, why not be together in your sadness?
That makes sense.
For lack of like a perfect way to articulate it, just in the sense of like isolating is usually like one of the most like common forms we see with
Yeah.
people who are depressed. And I even isolate myself. Like if I'm not feeling it, like my friends will probably not see me for a smooth couple months. Like if I'm really not in the right headspace. But sometimes you just need to be miserable with someone else.
So
You
y'all
Literally.
can
know?
be in that together. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you miserable girl. I feel bad too. Let's talk about
Like
it.
literally, like let's sit down and talk about it. And even if you don't want to talk, like I know everybody knows about parallel play and it's usually only talked about in romantic relationships, but it's definitely applicable in all kinds of relationships. Like you don't even have to talk. We don't have to sit here and cry together. If you just want to be on the game and I'm doing my own work or vice versa, we can do that. And I definitely, at least again, speaking for myself in my environment, it's definitely much harder of a thing for men to do. Because obviously like the context, like in a perfect world, I should be able to hit my man's up and be like, bro, pull up. I'm not feeling myself. I just want
Mhm.
company. You feel me? But in the world we live in,
You can't
there's
do
a
that.
way that that might be taken as homoerotic.
Yeah.
Like it's not even that serious, or not even like you're afraid of what they think, but like you also have the internal pressures on yourself to not even want to like reach out. Essentially, today's topic is today's idea is like we said, it takes a village. It's just about making sure the people around you are good people to have, and just making sure that you yourself are one of the good people that other people have around you. You know what I mean? Um, and our question of the day perfectly segues into our actual topic, which is simply put, checking on your friends. And my interpretation of checking on your friends is like obviously it itself is self-explanatory, but just like going deeper than the hey, how you been? I'm straight, or like I'm fine, and then going about your day. Really having those genuine conversations with the people around you. One thing that I like to do, personal, every time like I haven't seen somebody or we haven't talked in a minute, I'll ask like, "How are you mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally?" You feel me? And I try and have them do scales of 1 to 10, and depending on their scale, if they would like to elaborate, they can. If they don't have to. But it's just to get a deeper gauge than just, and that's for me personally. So,
Um, Me personally, when it comes to my friends and checking on them, I know that we sometimes steer away from it. Like we'll just say we're good. Like we sometimes don't get into full depth as we should. But I know when it comes to my circle, my people, if we're having a problem, if we having a crisis, we know we can go to them. Like regardless if we're not good, like that week, if it's something happening right then and there, they know they can text me. I know I can text them. So always like just being that outlet for your friends and like telling your friends that you need that outlet as well because it's like it's a two-way street. Like you can't do something for them and they're not doing it for you. So just making sure that y'all have and also establishing that kind of relationship. You don't want to be trauma dumping on someone that
mm-hmm.
isn't perhaps like comfortable or they honestly don't even have your best interest in mind. Like just always know who you can come to and like stuff like that.
Yeah, and like Jaden said, it's really about being like that outlet for the person and having them be that for you as well. Within my friends in our circle, I know that like if I ever need to like talk about something, I can go to them and be like, "Hey guys, like if you guys are in the right mind space, this is what's weighing me down. Like, can I just share, or maybe like I said earlier, can I just come over and just hang with you and just be in your presence?" And I know that in turn, like I'll always be here to do that for them. Like sometimes they might not want to say exactly what's going on. And it's not your job to like always try to figure out what's wrong with people, but it doesn't hurt to be like, hey, I noticed this is something like seems to be bothering you. I notice you're not as cheery as you usually are. Like, what's going on? If you don't want to talk about it, like, that's okay too. Like, let's just hang out. Let's just see each other. Like, I just want to see you be well. And that's just my form of
Mm-hmm.
checking up on people, just letting them know that, like, you being well is like my end goal. Like it's what I want to see for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it helps to know that somebody just wants to know you're okay.
Yeah.
It definitely helps to know somebody's rooting for you. And when it comes to checking on your friends, I know we're college students. The mandatory, like the daily schedule can definitely get overwhelming for us. Everybody's schedule is different. Everybody has individual lives that they're dealing with as well, and we don't want to take away from that in any aspect. We're just bringing light to the fact that, like, even though you do have your individual life and you are focused on your journey, things are happening outside of that life. You know what I mean? Um, and often, and you guys know this, those who um, read about mental health, talk about mental health, anxiety and depression shows up in many different ways. It's not just, I wake up and I'm sad, or, you know, I don't feel like doing anything today. Like, although those are absolutely symptoms and signs, there's way more that fly underneath the radar. And I'm gonna share just a few. In no way, shape, or form is this us diagnosing anybody. We are not diagnosing anyone. If you feel as though that these are things that you struggle with, please seek help. We will provide those resources at the end of the episode, so please stay tuned. But please, we are not diagnosing anyone. But these are possible symptoms of depression that you may see. Some of them you've heard before, some of them you may not. So we have obvious feelings of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, hopelessness. Um, Anger is also another one. Um, that I feel as though definitely goes underneath the radar, especially because when people, and I was talking about this, if you guys came to the event last week, which you should have, let it go, you should have been there. I talked about kind of meeting people where they at, or not even that, but not taking things personally, right? And it's heavy on that because I know we're human. Emotions are gonna get the best of us from time to time. It happens, right? Anger is an emotion. It's not an emotion you should run from. It's an emotion you should try to understand, but that's a completely different topic. As far as it applying to depression, someone close to you, if they seem irritable and they're normally not, I would take the chance to simply inquire. You don't have to diagnose them. Again, do not diagnose them. You don't have to be accusatory. Just double check. Hey, are you good? I noticed X, Y, and Z versus how you usually are, which is X, Y, and Z. Has anything happened recently? Has anything changed? Talk to me. Again, that's checking on your friends. That's just double checking. Make sure it doesn't have to be a very long, convoluted conversation. It could just be, hey, talk to me. What's up? And I know that's a lot easier said than done. But if you don't mind reading off a few more of those symptoms.
So another one is sleeping too little or sleeping too much. I can definitely see that in myself when the semester is like you around midterms. I sleep a little too little. Tiredness and lack of energy, reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased appetite and weight gain. Physical problems like back pain and headaches.
Before we move on, I'm an exercise science major, so I deal with the
the
body and stuff, right?
This is
You know why? This is quick. Go ahead, talk about it.
Please, 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 please understand that your mental health and your physical health are closely related. Despite you thinking otherwise, I promise you it is. The amount of times that you see people experience abrupt back pain, experience chronic headaches, experience just overall chronic pain issues. If you were to ask them, oftentimes they deal with a lot of stress, and stress literally wear and tears on our bodies. Like, stress is stress can kill you. Long story short, not to scare anybody, but it can. And the fact that stress is strictly mental rather than it being like a physical stress, and it can still harm you physically, please pay attention to that, especially not to call them my girlies, look, ladies, I love y'all, but I'd be like, my stomach hurt, back pain, so on and so forth. Just look at around. One, drink some water. Two, also drink some water. Eat a meal. That coffee not gonna take you all
You know
day.
you ain't eating nothing since 10.
Girl dinner is not an everyday thing. It's not everyday girl
eat
dinner.
a bag of chips and some gum every night, girl.
That part.
Get you a steak, mashed potatoes,
That seafood
and the
boil.
broccoli.
Please. Like all jokes aside, please take that serious. Your nutrition, your unwinding time, however that be at the end of the day, please take that serious. I know myself, I struggle to unwind. Like relaxing is something that's very difficult for me, not in like a workaholic way, but in a way of like just anxiety, being tensed up. One thing I've noticed a lot, I clench my jaw crazy, like OC. And that's something I've been working on. My therapist told me to like stick my tongue in between my teeth whenever I feel that, in case. So obviously you don't want to bite your tongue. Just to continue down here, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, focusing on past failures, blaming yourself for things that aren't your responsibility. That is very loaded because I know some of us deal with that a lot. I'm gonna speak for myself. Definitely the feelings of worthlessness, like the period that I was going through, literally this past summer, it was just like I didn't hang out with my friends because I felt like I wasn't worthy of my friends, which is very counterintuitive when you think about it because they wouldn't be my friends if they didn't want to be around me. And that is just an example of how like I know we're talking about depression, but anxiety and depression go hand in hand. Like if you have one, you probably have the other, and that's how anxiety is like just lies to you. Another tidbit: therapy, yo, go. If you can go. It has helped me immensely. But a tidbit from therapy that I got was if you ever have like an anxious period or you're going through a lot of anxiety and you're questioning, overthinking, when you have a question like, oh, my friends think I'm worthless, or that person doesn't like me, or that person doesn't want to talk to me, ask yourself, who said that? Like, just ask yourself, who said that? And then when you go down the list, you'll realize no one actually said that. It's just you taking one thing, inferring it into another, and kind of like becoming
just
a
stirring
snowball.
it up.
So that's something that has definitely helped me in that regard. But just to like spin back on the feelings of worthlessness and stuff like that, that's a feeling a lot of people will not share. That is definitely one of the closer keep my heart on my sleeve feelings. But if you have a friend that is a notorious flaker, me, I'm a notorious flake. Is that all of us?
Yeah.
As you can see, we're here for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know how we here.
It's not even like I intentionally do. It's like some days I just don't want to be out. Like I don't want to be seen.
The social battery. It's beyond it.
Goes down so fast you would think my social battery was a Samsung. I promise
Literally.
you.
What?
Yo, like I will start the night vibing. 30 minutes later, I'll probably want to go home.
Literally.
And there's no literally
I'll be so quick to call the Uber back from wherever we are.
What?
Like it's on me.
Y'all want to split? No? Okay, we can go.
And that's why I drive everywhere. Because one thing I won't do is not go home when I don't want to. Like I want to go home when I'm ready. But yes, worthlessness, one of the closer feelings. If you have a notorious flaker, double check with them. Flaking, at least, like I can only speak on how it shows up in myself. I'm not going to speak for every single person. Again, I can only speak for myself. For me, the flaking comes from like me not feeling like I should be outside, almost like shame, right?
Yeah.
I feel ashamed of myself, so I don't want to be seen. That's me. I'm not saying that's everybody else, but I can see how it shows up in different aspects of my life in that regard. And that's the only reason why I'm harping on that so specifically, because that feeling of worthlessness And guilt is usually the feeling that drives people to, unfortunately, end their life. Please heed that one. Yeah.
I would say on the focusing on past failures, I can say that really does affect me. Like right now, I am in a space where I am proud of myself, proud of my accomplishments, but it's always something in the back of my mind reminding me of what I did before, and like I'm not proud of it. So yeah, that's just something with me personally, and the only way I can get like through it, or the only way that I like cope with it, is basically just looking at where I am now. So like stop reflecting on the past and just look at where I'm at now. So,
Yeah, be present.
Yeah.
heavy on to be present.
Yeah.
Sure. And I say I really do resonate with the shame thing you mentioned, because it's like, personally, I'll go through so much throughout the day, and then when it's time to finally go out, even if I was excited and like jumping to go do this thing, in that moment it's like I literally just want to be alone. Like I'm so like overwhelmed. I don't want to have anyone see me break down. Like it coming off as, oh, I don't like being around y'all because I'm always flaking on you guys, when that's not the case.
Absolutely. Nah, facts. Like my friends, if y'all like, and I'm talking about the people who really know me. If y'all watching this, I love y'all. I really do. I just been going through my own stuff.
Yeah, it's just that feeling of being overwhelmed. Yeah. Like you be like, oh yeah, that party tonight, I'm gonna pull up. Wait, oh, I don't want to go to that part.
You said who gonna be there?
Oh, that's fine. They can be there.
I keep telling my friends I'm scared of being perceived, y'all. I don't like being perceived.
No, I definitely understand that. That's why I don't really post on Instagram now.
I'd be quick to post and delete.
I am a notorious post and delete.
Quick to post and delete.
I post. Y'all gotta see the fits. I post.
I post and delete. I'll post something and I'll think it's hilarious.
Look at it for too long.
And then I'll be like, what if somebody think this dumb?
Literally. I'll be looking at every little thing in my picture. I'm like, my feet look kind of. Why am I making that face? Gone.
Heavy on that face.
Gone.
Why you look like that?
Well, us talking about checking on your friends and stuff, definitely like, it's definitely important. Check on your friends. Check on the people around you. Make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they are. If you do want to confide in them, please ask them and double check with them. Make sure that they have the space to hold what you are willing to share with them. I know it may be an extra step that you may not feel like you want to do, but it's just consideration, because again, everybody is going through their own thing, and it's just a respect thing. It's just a consideration thing. If you can, like, if you have that relationship with that person to where you can just call them up and say whatever happened, then do you. Look, I'm not in your situation. I'm not in your relationship. If you can do that, do that. But if you don't have that, please ask. Please make sure you have consent before you trauma dump on somebody. And perfect segue into another topic, which is confiding in others. And just honestly, like, I know in our last topic, we were over here saying like, talk to people, just go to the person close to you and express yourself. But we definitely know it's easier said than done. I know for a lot of us, at least again for me, I don't want to generalize, but for me not reaching out to my friends when I was going through that time was just me not wanting to feel like a burden. And I know that's something that a lot of people can relate to and resonate with. I just didn't want to feel like I was bringing the mood down. And I think that also contributed to why I flaked so much. Because if I'm in this headspace, I don't want to be there while everybody else is having a good time, and then I'm over here looking miserable and stuff. When it's like, I enjoy being around these people. I want to be around these people. I wouldn't be outside if I didn't want to be around these people. It's just what's going on up here. Winning. This one got hands for real. So, we're gonna try and help and provide ways to slowly introduce that aspect of your relationship if that's something that you don't have, or even enhance it if it's something that you do have, and just expand on it more, just to make sure you maintain that safe space. And yeah, so you guys want to
Honestly, I think you hit everything, especially knowing your relationship with the person. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have different friends for different things.
Absolutely.
You got party friends, you got your emotional friends, you got your business friends. Like you never want to call the person you only hit up when y'all go outside about something that happened to you because they don't know how to respond and you might not get that response that you want. So
Mm-hmm.
always make sure you establish your relationship and establish you don't have well yeah establish like the boundaries you guys have with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that basically like sets y'all both up like for an outlet. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they don't have like their family to talk to immediately, they can
Mm-hmm.
always come to you. So I would just say establish those relationships and set those boundaries with the people.
And that's definitely something people don't do in platonic relationships for real. And I know, like, when you're like a couple years deep in a friendship, I know like certain things don't like cross your mind for real. But at the same time, like, again, these are other people who live other complete different lives aside from the one that you live. So it's necessary to make sure that they can hold space for you, because the last thing you want to do, and I've I've done this and I have had it done to me, in where time and place, and because of time and place, you don't receive the reaction you wanted to receive.
Yeah.
You definitely gotta understand time and place, and in addition to what Jaden was saying, who, right? Because like there are people I've known since high school, elementary school that I love to death, but I probably wouldn't have that in depth,
Yeah.
like emotional conversation like the one that we're all having right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people I probably met literally like last semester that I could
That you
probably
would
have this conversation with and probably tell them everything that like happened that went wrong in my life. It all started when I was 12 type. And it just time and place and who. Also, like, I can understand like fresh after a situation, things may like be heated and you want to talk to somebody right away. I would say for your sake and everybody else's sake, take time. Just off the rip, take time, whether that be a minute, 5 minutes, an hour, 30 seconds. Just take a moment and collect. Right? Just take a moment and collect. I don't want anybody to end up calling the wrong person, or just like, again, you call the right person, but just wrong place, wrong time. You know what I mean? And it's just understanding those very small nuances of human interaction that can honestly help us like grow. And I know this is probably a lot. So like, honestly, take what applies. If it doesn't apply, then let it fly. We're just here to help whoever resonates with whatever. Another thing that's on here, and I'm gonna pass it to you guys in a second. I wanted to address like perceived one-sided relationships, and I feel like that is definitely necessary when talking about this topic, because I know that there's a lot of people in relationships where they feel as though like either I express myself to this person, but they never express themselves to me, or like this person expresses themselves to me, but I can't find it in myself to express it to them. And the reason why I said perceived one-sided relationships is because not every relationship's like transaction, and when I say transaction, I mean just in a way of like you do for me, I do for you kind of thing. Like you scratch your back, I scratch yours. It's not going to be, I don't want to say equal, but it's just not going to look the same. You know what I mean?
It's not always going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
Some days it's 80-20. Some days
70
it's
30.
60-40. Like it really just depends. You just got to know who you're dealing with. Like I
Mhm.
feel like that happens a lot in basically like in my relationships. Like dealing with people that don't really talk about their feelings. But me, I'm a talk. So it's like you sometimes feel like, oh, maybe I'm talking too much, or maybe they don't feel like they can trust me. But all in all, they can and they do, but they just don't talk about their feelings. So.
Mhm. And even though, were you about to?
Yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead, please go.
I was
Please
just
go.
gonna say that one thing that I noticed, especially with what you just said, is that like not wanting to confide in people, sometimes it's anxiety that gets you. Because
Absolutely.
in my mind, it's like, okay, I want to tell you what I'm going through, but I don't know how to put this without making it seem like I'm seeking for attention or something, or without seeming like
Mhm.
I'm bothering you. Like, what was it? Like May, I got in a car accident, and that joint had like shook me. But to
Mhm.
even text somebody and be like, hey, I just got in a car accident, I was like, that's so random. Like, why would I
Yeah,
tell them?
it
Like,
gives fishing for
Mhm.
attention,
right,
but really,
Right.
I need you.
right.
Like, I just went
Exactly.
through
Literally,
something.
it took so
Exactly.
long for me to get out that mindset and be like, if somebody came to me with this information, I wouldn't react like they're seeking attention. So why am I assuming that everybody's gonna do that for me? Like, if I don't trip out when someone sends me something like, "Hey, I'm going through something. I just want to talk about it," nobody's gonna do that to me, or most people aren't gonna do that to me. Not the ones I keep in my circle. At least. Let me say that.
Got you. Nah, for real. And I also wanted to add to the whole like the transactions within relationships, just like doing favors for one another and it not being equal, because you're absolutely correct. It's not always going to be equal as far as like someday you won't have to put more work in. Other days the other person's going to have to put more work in. But also, um, and a topic I've actually been seeing on like TikTok a lot is like the different like communication styles. Um, because to you, showing up for someone may be like, I listen to everything you have to say, I give you advice, and then we work it out from there.
Right.
While for other people, I just want you to hold space. You don't even got to respond for real. I just want to talk and have somebody listen. You know what I mean? So like, and that also is based off of the capacity that that person has at that time. Um, so that's what I meant by like, if you're talking to this person, always telling you your business and all that stuff, not in a bad way, but just as far as like what's going on with you, and they're like, and they're just holding space, but you're okay with that. That is okay. That is okay. If you are okay with them just holding space for you, listening to what you have to say, and then validating you afterwards, that is okay. Not every situation has to be like you express to me, I express to you, and all of that stuff. It could just be like I express, you listen.
Yeah.
It that's okay too. So but again, know your personnel, know who you're around, know your friends, know who you can, and like, yeah, you've been around these people enough to know who you gonna get from them, especially when it comes to like your circle.
And to add on to what you just said, I know it might sound redundant, but like when I talk to people or if they ever say, "Oh, I need to tell you something, I need to talk about something," I always ask like, "Do you just want somebody to listen or do you need advice?"
Yes.
Because sometimes doing that clarification can be what's like really good for the conversation. It defines like a good listener, cuz if you're telling me your problems and I just give you advice randomly and you're like, "I really didn't need advice, I just wanted to talk." It might make you feel like, "Oh, I can't really come talk to you because you're always going to try to tell me
Right.
what I need to do." Or if I'm just sitting there and I don't say anything after, you're like, well, this wasn't helpful. Just defining what type of conversation it is can really help somebody out when you're checking up on them or when they're confiding in you.
Long story short, guys, communicate. Just talk to one another. I think communication is probably one of like the easiest, most complicated things when it comes to just like living, interacting with the world, because it's so simple but so hard at the same time. But as far as like this topic, tell people what you need from them. Like, especially your friends, your loved ones, the people that are really there for you. Tell them what you need from them. And the people who show up, those are the people who are for you. The people who don't show up,
Get the
you
boot.
know, you know. We're gonna leave you guys with some campus resources for mental health, health in general as well. Sexual health, all that stuff. We got the Towson Counseling Center, of course. The number is 410-704-2512. The counseling center also has a after hours crisis support. So the Towson Counseling Center hours, I'm pretty sure, from like what 9 to 5. After 5, they have a after hours crisis support center, and it's the same number as their daytime, which is again 410-704-2512. Of course, we have the suicide crisis hotline 988. Towson Student Outreach Support. Their number is 410-704-4462. And if you do not know about Towson SOS, I used Towson SOS the last couple semesters. They provide a lot of accommodations for students who have learning disabilities. I struggle with ADHD, so they helped me get extra testing time. They helped me get extra notes and so on and so forth. So if you ever need any assistance in that realm, Towson SOS. I think they also have something else called ADS, but I'm gonna find out more information. I'm gonna let you guys. Upcoming event again this Thursday, September 12th, 6:30 p.m. CLA 5303, Healing Horizons. Please be there. We're gonna finish up with some affirmations. Everybody get one.
What do I want?
Okay, let me start. The first affirmation we have is it takes a village. You don't have to do everything alone. It's very important to ask for help. Like, there's no shame in needing help at all, especially when it's there for you and it's offered. So, if you have people who are willing to listen or help you or just support you in any way, use that. Like, get help if you need help. It takes a village. Don't do things alone if you don't have to.
Mhm. Another affirmation we got is don't let one bad experience define all future experiences. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just because it happened once doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Um, and even if it does happen again, don't mean it's going to happen a third time. It's just about resilience. If you get knocked down, you get back up, keep going again. But I know in the realm of trust, that's very difficult. Again, we know that this is easier said than done. We absolutely understand that. But the first step, just try, and that definitely brings us to our last one.
So our last affirmation is it is only difficult because it is unfamiliar. I feel like this can really resonate with college students in general. If you're either first year, second, like wherever you are in your college experience, you always experience different things. So you're in new classes, you're in new clubs, you're meeting new people, and it's
Might be in a
like
new city.
new anything, new state, and um all because you don't know your surroundings. You might know this, you might not know that. Doesn't mean it'll be hard. But if it is hard, it's like you just got to get through it. You got to persevere, resilience. You become more familiar when you're put into these situations, I guess you can say. Like once you really start putting yourself out there and like being on campus more, like meeting new people, it becomes easier. Being like more social, like just stuff like that. So just get out there more.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to crawl before you can walk.
Mhm.
We'll see y'all next time.